Hi, guys. Welcome back. Listen, I was wrong. I thought BBL stood for big breasted lesbian. I was wrong. BBL stands for Brazilian butt lift. And let me tell you what I don't understand about it. We live in a world where a lot of people are overweight. And when I think of the BBL, it looks to me like skinny people that want to look a little bit overweight. But I know it's not exactly that. So, thus today's YouTuber. This YouTuber is Nosy Neighbor Lady Show. And the Nosy Neighbor Lady's video is called Attack on the BBL Culture. Tell me what you guys think.
BBL culture, the attack on the BBL, and do the BBL smell? You know, we talk about BBLs, and I think that y'all know how I feel. My old neighbors know. I just don't know about the sitting and the squatting in 10, 20 years, the effects of having pump parties or fixer flat, or we seen K. Michelle struggle. Cardi B even got her body redone for her videos. It's giving low budget girl. Ain't no money. But anyway, the man, it was a man, look at me, it was a man. One of y'all mans, to be specific, who had a beard and a hat gang. Y'all call them hair hats. I think it's just pus bumps on top of the head, under the head. Or a point at the top of their head. Or we already know they bald. But anyway, men don't want to accept losing their hair since we talking about y'all men, which is men across the board. But
So let me stop real quick because it sounds like she's having a little bit of a rant here, right? But what she's saying is that men aren't perfect. A lot of times they have a hat on, they have a nice, sexy beard, and then you realize that under their head they have a bunch of bumps, or maybe they're completely bald or patchy haired, whatever the case might be, they're not perfect. Her argument, and the reason she's saying that, is because the other part of this video's title is, Does the BBL smell bad? Over the past 6 months or so, we've been seeing a lot of videos pop up where people will say that people that get the BBL done have a real bad problem with hygiene and odors. And I think that the nosy neighbor lady is going to come with the argument of that's just what men say because maybe men are a little bit insecure about their baldness and their shortcomings. At least that's what I got out of that little vent there.
anyway, we come from a culture that celebrates BBLs as a black woman. Also, this to be correlated to body privilege. We're supposed to do a body privilege versus beauty or face score declining privilege, and it's just like you all can act like BBLs don't upgrade a girl's status, as in attention. Some people, oh, he's only doing it for your bod. Don't miss me. The boy look funny. His lips look funny. Some people call him educated lane. I would call him an ugly black man who never got attention and still can't, but he pulled his money if he got money. But he seems pretty smart and he still hit it anyway. And women are mad and coming like, well, who wants to be with a girl like that? And what does that say about the girl? And then some people push morality. Your hygiene, well, not morality. They push morality like y'all shouldn't be promiscuous anyway. Y'all only want seeking attention. All women want attention. Whether it's good attention, bad attention. What do you want to be valued for? I always want to be valued for my brains.
Okay, so she brings up some good points. We do want to be valued for our brains. She's saying that in black culture, the guys like the girls with the big behinds, right? Okay, I think that's popular in multiple cultures, by the way, right? But the point that she's making is that if some girls are going to aspire to that, then you can't judge them and start making up these fake tales that they're smelling. But here's the problem. There's hundreds of videos on this topic. I think whenever you add size to your backside, it makes it harder to stay clean in certain areas. So this isn't meant to be a joke. It's meant to be a serious discussion. If you would, do you think that by adding inches and size to your backside, it's going to leave you more susceptible to having poor hygiene when it comes to things like wiping and remaining clean down in your areas down there?
I got that. I'm broke now. If I went more and used my beauty more, I would be farther. If I used my SEX and my womanhood more, I would have more money. Might still be sad? I don't know. But let me be sad anyway. Y'all sad and ain't got no kids or stretch marks. So, but I thought this was black men's ploy to They don't like the BBL girls to turn women against each other like they always do. They're very good manipulators, very good at the algorithm. Never could take that from black men. Now he turning the natural girls against the BBL girls, but he gonna pick the BBL girl every day. And the natural good girl who do the right thing all the time is still not married. Still he ain't bought her a house, ain't bought her a car, ain't bought her no hairstyle, no nails, no wardrobe, no help with bills. Then they was the passport bros who didn't make it. Or they didn't go, or those women wanted things too. Another ploy that didn't. So the passport bros, the elimination or annihilation.
Okay, again, it might sound like she's rambling here, but I'm following her. Okay, so what happens is the good-looking guys, the Chads, the Tyrones, right? The Dales, they they end up having a war going on. They like the natural girls, but they like the BBL girls more. At least that's what the nosy neighbor lady here is saying, right? So naturally, the girls start to go to the guys and say, "Why you like her? That's not natural. She's paying for her behind, right? She has bad hygiene." They get this, that, and the other going. The reality is, Tyrone and Chad probably are dating both of the girls, whether you think so or not, nosy neighbor lady. And she's right on the other end, the guy that's left out in the dark, he ends up trying to be a passport bro. But the only problem they never tell you about that is you do have to have a little bit of money to be a passport bro. They always make it sound like, oh, you can go live in the Philippines for cheap. Yeah, but you still got to have some money, bro.
The BBL, they don't like them. The child-free women, they don't like y'all because y'all ain't got no kids and y'all won't date nobody with no kids. And it's the kid. But the single mother culture, all the ways we think we better than other black women. Is it black women hate or no? Or black women jealousy or comparison or envy that eventually turns to hate? So, let me catch my breath. Y'all need to give me a like for this video. I need these likes, girl. You know I need these likes. You know I love y'all. I don't got to like y'all. All this good information. But we don't value information. We value BBLs. They don't want single mothers. They don't want to deal with baby daddy drama as if baby dads are there. Ooh, let's play like baby dads are there that we have to deal with because we're trying to be a good stepdad. Sell that to the fishes and the birds. Tell me when the birds is swimming with the fishes and the fishes is flying in the sky. Good. So.
She brought up something at the very beginning that we kind of skipped over. She said that there's a part of her that wonders what's going to happen to the people that had the BBL in 15 or 20 years. Are they going to go to parties and get filler ups, right? Because maybe they deflate a little through time. Is there going to be some adverse side effects that maybe we don't know about today, but we will tomorrow? That's what bothers me about these things that women get, whether it's a surgery to augment their breast or their backside or the length of their feet, whatever the case might be. These things can have side effects, and it seems like the doctors and surgeons don't always like talking about all the side effects. That's why I think these videos are super important.
Also, another thing I wrote down. Ugly niggas with high self-esteem. I saw a guy and they keep showing, matter of fact, Miss Oysters just did her live and she showed the guy in there. I don't know his name. I don't read it, but they keep showing me his picture. And I watched him one day when they was talking about religion, a black woman preacher. I did click on his video for that. And she was saying, if he ain't trying to marry you, girl, why you stand there? But as a woman of Christ and a believer of Christ, I believe she was right. But I was wondering why y'all liked him. Because he ugly and y'all think ugly men don't think they cute or got a chance. An ugly man in the black community is a 10 if he make $50,000 because they are the most unemployed men and they owe the government 50, 100,000, billion, trillion dollars. So.
Okay, so she's saying a gem of truth there. She's saying that deep down, even though you wouldn't think it, the ugly black man is the one worth marrying. But there's also a saying on the other side, famous song. If you want to be happy for the rest of your life, never make a pretty woman your wife. And from my personal point of view, get an ugly girl to marry you. Go get your shoes. Let's go for a walk. I heard a story that I thought was really interesting. Do you guys remember the show Catfish? I think it's still on. But I feel like every time I watch that show, it's constantly in rerun mode. I don't even know if they have new seasons or if it's just like the Kardashians where every time you watch it, you're watching a rerun. But for anybody that's not familiar, Catfish is a show where the host, Nev Schulman, reaches out to people that believe their boyfriend or girlfriend might be catfishing them. And catfishing is where people get an idea of what you look like based on pictures that you send them online. And sometimes, let's be honest, between filters and between just falsely lying and sharing other people's pictures instead of our own, a lot of times you never know what the heck people look like online until you actually meet them. And technically a catfish is where you go and you find out that somebody that you're on a date with looks nothing like the pictures they showed you. So why do I bring this up? Well, when I was going through my surgery back in November, I was out for a whole month and a half. And almost every week I watched at least a show or two of Catfish. Very entertaining show. And again, like I was saying, there weren't really new shows. It was just a bunch of reruns. But when you don't really watch the show and you haven't seen a particular episode before, who cares if it's a rerun? It comes across as brand new to you, or at least it did to me. So, good morning. So, one of those shows that was super entertaining, sometimes they had some shows that were a little over the top. You know, if you're dating someone online and you haven't seen their picture or you haven't seen them on video chat or something within a year or so, your red flags should be popping up like crazy. But apparently on that show, everyone's naive, you know? So why do I bring that? So because of his broken neck, he actually had to go get spine surgery. And apparently when the doctors and nurses saw him and the condition he was in, they were amazed that he could walk. And on the video I watched where Nev was sharing his experience, he started to get real emotional because apparently when the doctors and nurses saw his condition, apparently more than not, people that go through that actually end up being paralyzed. So Nev Schulman is very lucky not only to be alive, because he sustained a head injury, neck injury, and then had spinal surgery, but he's also lucky that it looks like he's going to be one of the few that is actually going to make a full recovery. No brain injuries, at least there wasn't one that looks like it's going to have long-term effects. But there's still a good reason I bring this up, guys. In November, when I had my surgery, it was on my tailbone. It had me down for a month and a half. During that month and a half, I went from probably 165-ish in my personal weight all the way up to like 185. So I gained about 20 pounds. And I really got a really bad sugar addiction going while I was recovering from my surgery, because when you're recovering and you're just sitting there, and in my case it was my tailbone, so I could not even sit down. I could walk, but it was just to the end of the block and then back, right? Nothing major, because I had basically on a giant diaper. Basically had a giant diaper on, excuse me. And so what it was is a situation where I felt powerless. So one of the ways that I made myself feel better was a piece of cheesecake here, a couple coffee donuts here, some chocolate milk or a root beer float there, right? And before you knew it, a month and a half later, I was no longer this 165-pound guy that was walking and drinking water and avoiding sugar. All of a sudden, predominantly speaking, I was not walking. I was eating sugar like crazy, and I was totally inactive, because even besides walking, some of us naturally are more active than others. And when I was in recovery mode, I was pretty much laying down on my stomach 24/7 for a month and a half. Nev Schulman currently weighs 172 pounds. So I'm going to make a prediction here, and I hope I don't come across as horrible by saying this, but I have a funny, interesting feeling that over the next handful of years, if Nev stays in the public spotlight, I have a feeling that he's probably gonna blossom into a 210-pound guy here, literally within the next couple of years. Every picture I saw of Nev online, and I'm sure you guys have noticed this if you know Nev Schulman or know of him, he's extremely skinny. He looks like he's about 6 foot tall, and he weighs 172 pounds, and he's actually pretty athletic and muscular looking. I think he takes his physical appearance very seriously. Very good looking guy. If you guys know Nev and you like Catfish, maybe let me know down in the comments. But I know the reality of recovering from these surgeries, and when you have a neck or a spine injury, you're not going to be able to sleep well. You're going to probably go through a little bit of a depressive funk. He's probably going to have survivor's guilt, right? Where he kind of feels like, why am I the lucky one that got to live? And that has a tendency to make people feel real sad and melancholy, right? So I just have a funny suspicion that we're going to actually see Nev Schulman become a case study in how weight can really add on to your body when you're recovering from surgery. Oh, Jesse, you're a jerk. No, it's just a prediction I'm making. Do I want it to come true? No, not at all. But there are some interesting reasons why after surgeries people do tend to gain weight. And before we get to those 4 reasons, I want to share you another little public library. Look at the little library that house has. How adorable is that? Let's check this out. That is a cute looking little library. What do you guys think? I'm telling you, the littlefreelibrary.org, take a book, share a book, a nonprofit organization. I think you guys in your states should reach out to that company and see if you guys can put a free library book stand in front of your house. How neato is that? As my 5-year-old self would say, neato finito. So check this out. Common reasons we gain weight post-surgery and why. Number 1, fluid retention. After surgery, the body often retains fluid, or I should say extra fluids, for the sake of helping you heal. It's actually a healing process that the body goes through, but those extra fluids do carry extra weight with them. So again, I have a feeling even if he doesn't get up to 205 or 210, I have a feeling 172-pound Nev is probably minimum going to get into the mid 180s, maybe even 190s, right? Number 2, like I said earlier, physical activity. I had a tailbone issue, but I knew that it was going to heal in a month and a half and I would eventually get back to walking. Have you ever had a sore neck or a sore back or a sore this, that, and the other? Sometimes it makes it where walking is impossible and you're in endless pain. So it'll be super duper interesting to see how this back injury and this spine injury affects Nev long term, or Nev. Medications. Some medications, especially corticosteroids, can cause extra weight gain. You know, usually whenever you take steroids of any sort, you end up gaining a little weight, right? I don't know if they affect your hunger status or what, but if any of you guys have had a situation where certain medications have added weight to your frame, maybe if you don't mind, share down below in the comments. And then finally, just like I described with myself back in November, when you're inactive and a little depressed, it's very easy to change your dietary habits. So while you would never sit there and have 3 pieces of cake back to back to back, if you're laying on your bed for your 20th day in a row, it's very easy to down a couple pieces of cake and then ask for a 4th slice. You know what I mean? So again, one of these things where we want to keep Nev in our prayers and we want to make sure that he has a full, speedy recovery. And the good news is it looks like he is going to have a full recovery. That's why I'm kind of interested to see if he ends up putting on a couple pounds, which again, I believe he will. One of the things that's interesting is when I was little and when you guys were little, we didn't really wear hats or helmets when we were biking, but the kids nowadays do. And thank goodness Nev had on his helmet, which he credits for protecting and saving his life. Apparently a truck hit him when he was on his way to pick up his son. He ended up going through bouts of being conscious and unconscious. He thought he was okay. He slowly but surely came to the realization he wasn't. And like I said, the rest is him going to the hospital for surgery. This is one of those things where I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, you know? But these are those life-changing events that can really affect a person. Guys, this park has a neat scenario where it has some really giant geese. And these are the type of geese that come from the golf courses. So a lot of times they are not really afraid of people. So let's see if we can take a fun little jaunt by them. So anyway, that's basically what the Nev story was. I just have a funny feeling that whenever you see Nev in the future, he's probably going to slowly but surely start that aging process a little quicker than he would have. That doesn't make sense, huh? Slowly but surely, a little quicker. But I think you guys know what I'm saying. We have these traumatic moments in life where our youth gets taken from us. And whereas right now, Nev is a small little guy that's extremely healthy, these are the type of traumatic events that can change that. And I just think people should be aware of that. That's how life happens. So here's one of those giant geese. Look how beautiful this guy. Can you say hi for the camera? How are you? You are so gorgeous. Look at that. One time I was on a golf course and my ball landed in the fairway and they were all surrounding the ball. And they did not move as I went up to hit my second shot, right? And all of a sudden, I'm like, Jesus, are these guys going to move? And they were like right there. I just hit it right through them. Don't worry, I didn't hit any of them. But you can see they are just majestic birds. And while there's a couple outliers out here, in the middle of the soccer field over there, there's probably about 30 of them. Just amazing. One time, at a driving range, I saw one actually fly into the fence. I don't know if it was half blind and didn't see the fence, or maybe it was dying and didn't realize that there was a fence there. But either way, it just clobbered itself into a fence, fell straight down. Super duper interesting. I had a funny moment yesterday. I was watching a video and one of the video person's names was Erica. And she had a familiar look. I didn't know her ever, but she reminded me of one of my daughter's friends who shared the same name, Erica. And I think you guys will find this a funny little tidbit. If not, I apologize. Sometimes we have fun with our kids, especially when they're in grade school. We like to embarrass our kids, right? So one of the things I used to do is, and again, this is just me having fun with my daughter, but one of the things I used to do with my kids is I would grab a fart. You know, you fart and you grab it in your hand, like so. Kind of gross, I know. You know me, I'm goofy. And I would throw these farts at my daughter. And it's funny because it's not like you can really hold a fart, but you can hold it for a brief second. And I used to throw these farts at my daughter and it would gross her out, right? And I just thought that it disgusted her and that she never wanted anything to do with it. Therefore, I would do it all the time to her. So one day we're at Paradise Valley Mall, which is no longer a mall, which saddens me. I wish our malls were still vibrant, but you know, a lot of malls around the country are being shut down, right? But anyway, make a long story short, I was there eating with Erica and my daughter because I had picked them up from school. This was like, God, probably 15 years ago. And I went to Erica and I said, Erica, do you have any idea what this is? And I opened my hand like that. And no joke, she goes, yes, that's when Taylor chases me around and throws farts at me. And I lost it. That was the funniest thing ever. Because then I knew the truth. That my daughter was just like her dad. A little gross, a little funny, likes to have a good time, right? Not be so serious. But you got to understand, the reason I find that so funny is, what are the odds you would do this to somebody and they would know what the hell it meant, right? So all these times that my daughter would say, Dad, you're so gross. God, why are you the way you are? And then you find out deep down that they like to do the same gross, funny things. Whatever you do, ladies and gentlemen, don't be grabbing your farts out of your butt and throwing it at people. It's not right. Leave that to me. So we're gonna walk by this soccer game. I played soccer for 2 or 3 years as a kid, and I think it might have been a real blessing that I did, because to this day I feel like I have feet and legs that are a little bit quicker than the average person. So why is that important? Well, when you have a lively lower body where your legs and ankles and stuff move, I feel like it keeps you from being stiff. One of the things that happens as we age that I'm sure you've noticed with professional athletes and maybe even yourself is once we hit our 30s, 40s, and 50s, we really do start to lose a lot of flexibility and we become excessively stiff. That's why every day before I get into the shower, I will actually do like 25 or 30 calf raises, just leaning against my wall, just straight up and down on my calves. And I recommend you guys do that too. It's real easy to get your legs in shape through walking and simple exercises. And if you do have a gym membership, don't be afraid to go and work out your legs. So many young guys like to work out bench press in their upper body. Have you ever seen a person that has like really muscular frame from the waist up, but then from the waist down, they look almost anorexic or really, really skinny? I think that looks so off-putting. When I used to have a membership at Bally's about 30 years ago, I would go in and there was this one guy I'll never forget. His upper body looked like a strong offensive lineman or a football player. Meanwhile, his lower body, God, he looked almost feminine in the lower body because his legs were just so skinny and twiggy. So if you're one of these guys that absolutely loves to see how much, weight you can bench press, work out your legs. Your legs are what really is going to get you far when it comes to sports and athletics, especially at the college and pro level. Your upper body strength is important, of course, but if you don't have that base, you're not going to be anything athletically, at least not long term. And that goes the same for walking and being athletic as we hit into our 30s, 40s, and 50s. You have to really keep your legs moving. So again, that's just another one of the many reasons why I recommend walking. And Nev, I know you're never ever going to hear this video, but the reality is if you ever do, I think one of the best things you can do going forward, take a walk. You're probably never gonna want to do certain exercises where they can, put a lot of stress on your neck and stuff. But if you do, great. But if you don't, do some walking, Get used to doing, instead of hardcore weightlifting, maybe do some calisthenics where you're dealing with your natural body weight. I think people think that if they don't lift heavy, they're not gonna get big and strong. But if you ever look at people that do calisthenics, especially those that have their own YouTube channel, guys, they almost look like they're on steroids, and they're not. There's just something that happens to the body when you do squats with your body weight, when you do lunges with your body weight, when you do push-ups and sit-ups. You don't need a ton of weights. And the cool thing about calisthenics, and maybe this is why people are so anti-calisthenic, is that it's free. You don't need to purchase anything. You can go for a walk, and then when you come home, make it a part of your walk to finish the walk with maybe 10 or 20 push-ups. Oh, doggies. Those dogs were well behaved. That man said one word and they stopped and went right back to him. Do you guys have dogs? And if so, are they unruly? Or are they very smart, and do they listen to your commands? And then you have to ask yourself, are the ones that listen to your commands smart? Or the unruly ones that don't want to listen to your boring commands, are they the real smart ones? I would argue they're the real smart ones. But remember, the key is your dog is an extension of you. And I'm a firm believer that if your dog comes and bites me or bites somebody else, that's not on your dog, that's on you. So again, sometimes you'll see these people with these crazy strong dogs and they don't have them on a leash and they're unruly. God, that should be illegal, and if your dog does bite somebody in certain states, it probably is. It's got a swimming pool. God, you don't see too many parks that have a swimming pool attached, and the swimming pool, in all honesty, is probably because of Moon Valley High School right next to it. By the way, when you watch a movie and they talk about a high school and it always has a really classic name, guys, does it get any more classic than Moon Valley High? That just sounds like it's straight out of a movie. By the way, that's where in 1973, my mom Cornelia graduated from Moon Valley High School. I went to a high school called Greenway High School, very boring and in a neighborhood full of farms where, you know, people had stinky animals. Now, believe it or not, Nev Schulman might have been lucky. Oh, and by the way, my camera's battery went out right there. What I was going to say is I didn't like how my high school had all these beautiful homes with giant plots because they were farming plots, right? Or not farming plots, but they were people that would keep horses and stuff, right? I forget what that's called, just cattle areas, whatever you want to call it. These houses were so beautiful, but you could smell the horse crap a mile away. So whenever you went outside of my high school at the time, like literally just right across the street, you would start to get these wafts of just smelly farm animals. And don't get me wrong, I love cows and horses and emus and all that stuff, but they do make smelly pets, so to speak. And when I was in my high school, I just remembered the smells of the neighborhood were not the most pleasant, but the houses were extremely beautiful and extremely large. That's what she said. Yeah, smelly, big, and large. That's what she said, Bob. So, so back to what I was talking about with Nev. So check this out. Would you believe it if I said that might have been the luckiest situation for him? Why? Well, guys, he was on his way to pick up his son. And here's where I start to wonder what the future would have been like if that accident would have happened after he picked up his son rather than before. He was on an e-bike. So I'm thinking there's a couple scenarios. Either his son was walking and then his dad was going to let his son ride the e-bike, right, while he walked, or perhaps his son had a bicycle there at the school and his dad was going to meet him on his e-bike and they were both going to ride their bikes home together. Or, and this is what I'm hoping wasn't going to happen, I'm hoping it's not a weird situation where the kid was going to actually ride on the handlebars like we used to do back in the days. Speaking of which, guys, I haven't seen kids riding other kids on their handlebars or on their back pegs. I haven't seen that in literally 25 or 30 years. But man, do you remember when we were kids? We would put kids right on our handlebars and we would drive around town with two people on a bicycle. And we were good at it. I don't remember too many accidents happening, although I'm sure on a national or global scale they did. But could you imagine if the kid saw his dad get crunched over by a truck? That would have been totally dramatic for his son. And if his son was riding doubles on the bike with his dad, that could have been a situation where his son ended up getting injured too. And where Nev is 6 foot tall, 172 pounds, I'm guessing his son is probably much less, right? So that could have been extremely dangerous. And then even if I think his son probably had a bike and they were both biking home, again, this kind of gives you an idea of how dangerous the world can be if drivers aren't paying attention. I don't know what the situation was that led to the accident, but one of the things that Nev stressed was that if there was a biking lane, this wouldn't have happened. So I don't know if it's Nev's hope that in the future they have more and more biking lanes, you know, that are dedicated to just bikes. That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. And I do see those all around, so I don't see any reason why they couldn't add that in more places. But I would love to know your guys' thoughts. Have you, a loved one or a friend, ever been involved in any type of bicycling accident that was kind of traumatic or where somebody maybe broke a bone or worse? If so, and you don't mind talking about it, share it with us down below. But again, if I were Nev going forward with this neck injury that is gonna heal, I think he got extremely lucky. And I think what he should do is really start to crawl before he starts to run again. So before he starts bicycling and this, that, and the other, I think he should really contemplate walking. Hopefully with walking, he can recover in a nice, smooth, easygoing way. And that's one of the things that helped me recover from my surgery. I knew that eventually I would get clearance from the doctor to start taking some longer walks and stuff. And when I did start feeling more myself and when I didn't have to wear a diaper anymore, I pretty much started walking with you guys. And the cool thing about walking is I feel like it helped me recover from my surgery. You know what? It would have been extremely easy for me to not do a walking channel, not get back into walking. I was really in love with sweets then, right? It would have been really easy for me to let that 185 turn into 195 or even 200 plus. And you're in that same boat, ladies and gentlemen. Out of every 100 or 200 venters, somebody's going to sprain an ankle. Somebody's going to sustain some sort of injury over the next X amount of years. This is where you have to remember, when you're recovering from surgery, try not to eat too many sweets, no matter how depressed you get. Try to stick with drinking water. That way, when you do get better physically and you're able to start working out again, you'll be able to walk, and before you know it, 20, 30, 90 days later, you'll start losing weight and getting back to yourself. And remember, I want you guys to be safe constantly. I want you guys to be able to grab a fart in your hand and throw it in your son or daughter's face with skill. And when they run, I want you to be able to catch them. So we need you to be able to lose weight. Did I really throw a fart at my daughter? No. Yeah, I did. Am I embarrassed about it? No, not really. It was a long time ago. But I did it enough where it's now a game that she plays with her daughter. Well, maybe not her daughter. My granddaughter is only 2.5, but maybe when my granddaughter's 4.5 or 5, she'll have that experience of her mom or dad throwing a fart her way. And by the way, if you can muster up a good fart and throw it at your kids, they will love and appreciate you that much more. I think it would be a shame if I didn't try to get closer to Mother Nature. I have a gift. The wild animals, they like me. We'll call it the kavorka, the lure of the animal. Another saying that we learned from the good folks at Seinfeld. Do you guys remember where Cosmo was seducing nuns from the church because he had kavorka, the lure of the animal? Look at these beautiful geese. Now, when I'm golfing, they don't care if I come up right next to them. So my thinking is, I'm gonna share Walk Talk Vents, Wild Animal Kingdom with you. Hey guys, it's me, your friend from the golf course. How are you? No need to get up. I wish I had some popcorn. Do you guys want some skinny pop? How are you? Look at how peaceful they look. This is crazy. Have you guys ever seen turkeys in the wild? God, those things are scary, but these things, beautiful. Look at you guys. Hey, don't get up. Don't get up on my account. How are you? God, I want to pet them so bad. Look at these ones right. Oh, I bet you I could sneak up on this one that's sleeping. Oh, his eye just popped open right when I said that. How are you guys? Hi. You guys are amazing. Are you Walk Talk Vent fans too? How are you? All right, I know you guys at home are thinking, don't bother the birds. I did it for you guys. I wanted to show you guys how chill the geese are out here. It's because golfers feed them popcorn and shit. You feed the wild animals and pretty soon they're not so wild anymore. I've been watching videos of people feeding bears, and then the bears grow up and they're still friendly with the people, and it's like, that sounds like a recipe for disaster. Anyway, peace to all venters, peace to all walkers out there. You guys have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.